Well, Sabbath greetings to all of you. I hope you've had a wonderful, wonderful week. Oh, it's been cold, hasn't it? I was thinking about this a few minutes ago, how very blessed we are. Maybe some of you are still using a wood-burning fireplace or something like that. But for the most part, this is how difficult it is for us to become comfortable and cozy in this modern age. Just about like that. Or like this, where you're turning up the temperature and then some other machine is able to produce the heat that we need. Otherwise, it is dangerously cold out there. And of course, we need to be praying for all our brethren and for everyone up in all over the East Coast. I guess they're just having a terrible time there. They're in a deep freeze, and a lot of these places that don't normally see snow and cold weather, they're getting it, and they're not used to it. We're pretty used to it here, but we've been very blessed. It's just been cold, but we haven't gotten all the snow and all that sort of thing, and so we can be grateful for that. But I hope you're staying warm and cozy, and I hope you're enjoying the Sabbath. It is the Sabbath here. As a matter of fact, I was hoping to get this done a little bit earlier, but we are in the Sabbath, so happy Sabbath to all of you, and I hope it's been a great week. And we're going to finish off the week here, as we always do, by keeping a Sabbath, by finding rest and being able to be rejuvenated and rejoice in the Sabbath. I want to continue here in this Sabbath greetings with our review of Proverbs. I'm going to do Proverbs 6. And this is an interesting proverb. It's kind of long. We won't be able to cover all of it because I don't want these to get too long. But let's just start in verse 1 of Proverbs 6. He says, "My son, if you become surety for your friend, if you've shaken hands and pledged for a stranger, you're snared by the words of your mouth. You're taken by the words of your mouth. So do this, my son, and deliver yourself. For you have come into the hand of your friend. Go and humble yourself. Plead with your friend. Give no sleep to your eyes, nor slumber to your eyelids. Deliver yourself like a gazelle from the hand of the hunter, and like a bird from the hand of the fowler." So this is basically talking about having the wherewithal not to get put into a position where you become surety for your friend. So if you just look at this, I just brought up a couple of commentaries here. It's talking about, this is Ellicott's commentary for English readers, and it says that under these circumstances, the only occasion for loans would be to supply the immediate necessities of the borrower, and the exaction of interest under such circumstances would be productive of great hardship, involving the loss of land and even personal freedom, as the insolvent debtor and his family became the slaves of the creditor. And then they give an example there of Nehemiah chapter 5, and you can go back and review that, Nehemiah 5, about verses 1 through, you get the whole story about through verse 7 or so, where it's talking about, they'd come in after the Babylonian exile, and they were exacting all this great loans. They were mortgaging off their land and all their property, and even their sons and daughters they were mortgaging off just to make it. So that was a situation that we're talking about here, is not getting into those types of circumstances. And then to go on here, it says, to prevent these evils, the lending of money on interest to any poor Israelite was strictly forbidden. And that's in Leviticus chapter 25. And that would be about verse 35, Leviticus 25:35, "If one of your brethren becomes poor and falls into poverty among you, then you shall help him like a stranger or a sojourner, that he may live with you. Take no usury or interest from him, but fear your God, that your brother may live with you. You shall not lend him your money for usury, nor lend him your food at a profit. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, to give you the land of Canaan, and to be your God." So those kind of things were not to be done, to take advantage of other people. And we don't want to put ourselves into a situation where we could, obviously we have a little different ways of doing things today, but the principle is there. Borrower is servant to the lender. In many, many ways, we need to make sure that we're very careful in terms of our finances and our money, not to become, our mortgages are a little bit different. But even in that case, we don't really own our home. If we have a mortgage and we don't make a couple payments, the bank is going to come in and they actually own the home. So, in other circumstances, that's really kind of an exception, because not very many of us have enough cash on hand to buy a home. So we're grateful we can take out a mortgage in that way. But in other ways, we want to make sure that we're very careful just to buy with money that we have on hand and not go into debt. Be very careful about that, because it can put us and it can put our children into very serious financial burden on down the road. Verse 6, he says here, "Go to the ant, you sluggard, consider her ways and be wise." So, obviously this is talking about making sure that we're not lazy and we don't get into a situation where we're not being productive. Look at the ant. He says, they have no captain, overseer, or ruler, but yet they provide her supplies in the summer and gathers her food in the harvest. How long will you slumber, O sluggard? When will you rise from your sleep? A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep. So shall your poverty come on you like a prowler, and your need like an armed man. So that is how that's going to work out. If we're going to be lazy, we're probably not going to have enough to eat. We're not going to have our needs taken care of. It's going to lead to poverty. So we've got to be willing to work hard. Verse 12, "A worthless person, a wicked man, walks with a perverse mouth. He winks with his eyes. He shuffles his feet. He points with his fingers. Perversity is in his heart. He devises evil continually, and he sows discord. Therefore his calamity shall come suddenly. Suddenly he shall be broken without remedy." So again, these proverbs are just filled with very simple but logical wisdom about the worthless person or a wicked man who just talks perverse things, just shuffles his feet. It says it gives well, you can look at the center column there, but he winks with his eyes, he shuffles his feet, points with his fingers. There's perversity in his heart. He's just thinking about evil, trying to find ways to scheme, and that's going to lead to calamity. And then verses 16 through 19, he talks about these 6 things the Lord hates. Yes, 7 are an abomination. Many times things come in 7s in the scriptures, we know. He talks about these are things we want to be very aware of because God hates them. He literally says, "I hate these things." A proud look. And how often have we talked about that? Now this is talking about a proud look. This is just talking about that really a lack of humility. It can't even be portrayed in the way we look, in the way we carry ourselves, with a lot of pomp and all these types of things. We're to be modest and be careful in the way that we look, so as not to give some kind of air, but to be humble in every way. He says a lying tongue, and there's so much in the scripture about lying. Hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked plans, scheming and planning. Feet that are swift in running to evil, those that just, they have no problems. If something presents itself, they'll go for it, even if it's illegal or even if it's evil. A false witness who speaks lies. So again, a couple of times there's something to do with lies here. And then finally, one who sows discord among brethren. One who is contentious. One who is trying to cause others to stumble. Causing discord in the congregations among the brethren. God hates those things. So we've got to make sure that we're keeping ourselves in check in all those ways. Now this video is getting kind of long, but "My son, keep your father's command. Do not forsake the law of your mother." So he's talking about God's law there. He's talking about the commandments. Bind them continually upon your heart and around your neck. Make sure that those things are at the very forefront. Don't take them off. Don't put them away, but keep them close. Bind them continually. When you roam, they'll lead you, and when you sleep, they will keep you. Isn't that interesting? Even when we sleep, we need to be thinking about, right thoughts, purity, and not let our minds wander to things against God's law. For the commandment is a lamp and the law a light. So that is the way we make it in this life. That's how we direct our steps. It says here, to keep you from the evil woman, from the flattering tongue of a seductress. We're able to resist temptation. Do not lust after her beauty in your heart, and let her lure you with her eyelids. For by means of a harlot a man is reduced to a crust of bread, and an adulteress will prey upon his precious life. Can a man take fire to his bosom and his clothes not be burned? Flee sexual immorality. Stay away from those things. Don't be taken in. Can one walk on hot coals and his feet not be seared? We have to stay away from the opportunity. Stay away from the opportunity to be, immoral. So is he who goes into his neighbor's wife. Whoever touches her shall not be innocent. So we have to be very, very careful. Do not despise a thief if he steals to satisfy himself when he's starving. Yet when he is found, he must restore sevenfold. He may have to give up all the substance of his house. You know, it's interesting. It always reminds me, that scripture reminds me of Les Miserables. I love that play. Jean Valjean and what he goes through. But anyway, he goes on here, whoever commits adultery with a woman lacks understanding. In the King James Version it says he lacks heart. It's a terrible sin. And it's so destructive to the family. It's destructive to your wife, to any children, to the whole family name. Wounds and dishonor he will get, and his reproach will not be wiped away. For jealousy is a husband's fury. Therefore he will not spare in the day of vengeance. He will not accept no recompense, nor will he be appeased, though you give many gifts. So I hope you all have a tremendous Sabbath. I hope it is productive and profitable, and it's also restful. Once again, we've made some choices here in terms of the schedule. We're actually going to be in Appleton again this Sabbath. That's no offense to anybody else, but I'm getting back on a kind of a regimen here, and so I look forward to seeing the Appleton gang again. The rest of you we'll see in the weeks ahead. Take care and have a fantastic Sabbath. Love you all.